Okay, so I think we can start. And let's listen to the introduction cutscene first.
Dad?
Aren't you sleeping yet? It's time for bed, honey.
Dad, I
Glass.
can't sleep. Can you tell me a bedtime story?
All right. What do you want to hear?
Something about an adventure.
I think I know just the thing. When I was your age, my biggest dream was to follow my Uncle Fred on one of his adventures around the world. One day, he disappeared.
Okay, so let's start with the story about my uncle in the any percent NoFling category. A story about my uncle is a 3D platformer game based on a grapple hook, and yeah, it's from Gun Norse. They are called Coffee Stain Norse today, I think, and it's a pretty old game, but it's like an evergreen on Steam, so a lot of people know that game, even though it's an indie game. And we start with the first level, which is the workshop. In the normal speedruns, you will not see this level because we start with the second level and start the timer on a preset time. So this is actually just for the marathon, but it should make no difference. Oh, I forgot to make this. Yeah, so A Story About My Uncle is a pretty cool speed game, and I think it's a pretty cool game to get started with. And I try to explain all the movement stuff going on. The NoFling category actually means that we are not allowed to use a trick called flinging, which is based on the grapple hook mechanic. If you're standing in an object that's not solid, but you can grapple it, then you can shoot yourself through the whole level, or nearly through the whole level, and this is like a major difference. So yeah, we are playing the category without this, but there are some other cool tricks as well. Okay. Coming up is the first level, and since we have not collected any grapple crystal, we have to move ourselves by jumping, and we try to avoid the regular way just by jumping through the level precisely, and to get the first cycle, because the first two levels are cycle based, and we try to make them as fast as possible, and actually it's looking pretty good.
Where were they now?
Like you can see, the blue lights on the floor are... Oh, that's not good. Okay, so I missed the first cycle here. Are like checkpoints, and we can reset ourselves to the checkpoints. Or if we fall down, we just reset there. So that we shouldn't fall behind so much. Yeah. This is the first crystal, and now we can grapple once before we land again. And now we try to grapple ourselves through the level on the most effective way. Yeah, so maybe you notice that the game is like going on 31 frames. This is actually important for stuff happening later in the game, and I try to explain this as well when it's important. Come on. Okay, coming up is one of the harder parts of the first level. The first level, I would say, is one of the hardest level, or maybe the hardest level in the game. The upcoming part is the part we call the out of bounds part, even though it's not out of bounds, but it's clearly not intended that you go here. And we're playing with the reset boundaries of the game, so I need to be precise here, otherwise I just get reset to the last checkpoint. And this is helping us to avoid a lot of cycle-based stuff here. Yeah. So we managed to get here and to skip some big parts of the level. And from here on, again, we're trying to avoid this part over here by just landing on this rock and then doing a long jump to get to the checkpoint up here. And then we collect the second second crystal. So now we can grapple 2 times before landing. Yeah, and so this is what happening. This I try. No, I don't try it here. There is a trick called edge boosting. If you're grappling on an object really close to its edge, and then you're hitting it in a specific spot, you gain a lot of speed, and this can help you to make a lot of distance. I will try to show you later on. Okay, so the first level is nearly over. This is a sanctuary, and also maybe you noticed that the gamma is really high. This is just because of a level later on, and normally sanctuary is one of the more beautiful levels, I would say, but since the gamma is set such high, it's not looking that good, but I hope it's fine. Okay, actually I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing until now. Hope this will work out. Okay, so the first level is done, and I will show you that we can just go through the floor here to see something outside the level. Okay, coming up there's the next level, village, starting with a really long cutscene. We are not allowed to jump or to run here, and then we got introduced to Maddie. There are like 3 parts with longer cutscenes in the game, so if you have any donations, now is the time.
Good that you're asking, because just now a $5 donation got in from Maxter A7X saying, "You can do it, Kim!"
Hello.
And it's really amazing to see the game that I run being
You're not
run
from
in a
here.
speedrun marathon, which is a first for me.
You look just like Fred.
Thank you for your $5
small.
donation, Maxter.
And with
Thank you.
less hair on your face.
Here I just tried to show that you can stand on her head when she's standing up, and also, like, if you're precise, you can look a bit in her head when she walks into you, which looks really nice. This is yeah, I love her eyeballs from the inside.
Really?
After this cutscene, there's
I'll help you find him.
one trick coming up that
I'm
I
Madeline.
found.
The others call me
Or
Mad
no,
Maddie.
that's not true. I just found out that you can do a skip there, but
you
the
can
skip
call
was
me
found
Maddie.
by another person. I'm not sure. I think it was
Into the
Tomek or
village,
Vince.
right? Let's meet over there in the square. I'll show you around.
And
I bet you can get there
it's somewhat
easily.
precise, so
Simple thing.
I hope I just get it
So,
like
I'll see you there.
I couldn't believe
in the beginning and not like
underground
after 10
village
tries.
inhabited by
I tried to do an edge boost out of here to get to this platform, and actually I think this should be good enough, yeah.
they walk like humans.
So this edge boost just helps us to skip another big part of the level, and we just try to skip the village as well, which is on this pillars, and in the village there's a long cutscene where Maddie explains of the village. Actually, Maddie is like an important character for the game. She is like unhappy in the village where we are right now, and the thing is that these frog people that are living here are like, our uncle just grew, or no, he just built the village with these frog peoples, and there are some frog people that left the village afterwards, and in the village there are like strict rules. All this, oh no, that shouldn't happen. No problem, I will menu out and try it once more. There is a big cutscene in here where we got introduced to the rules of the village, and we don't want to see it, so we just grab the crystal and reset ourselves out. And in the cutscene we're skipping, we learn that Maddie is really unhappy here, and that Maddie just run away after the cutscene because she's unhappy. And there's another big cutscene we're skipping where Maddie climbs on her back because she wants to follow us to find our uncle, because that's what we're doing. We search for our uncle. And this cutscene, like, we will skip it, we will never see it. So Maddie just somehow sits on our back later on in the game, and we never actually like see her climbing on our back. But you will notice it later. Yeah, and this like is the village. It's over in a few. If you land on this rock, everything is safe.
Darkness
Okay,
swept over
from
me
here
as
on
I
it's
passed
just
through the
fooling
gates
around.
of the village behind me, headed for the ominous
Besides of the
city
any
of
percent no fling category and the any percent category with flings, there is a category called bind fling, where you just lower the frame rate with button presses, and then you can fling yourself even without objects that are not solid.
I couldn't help but shiver.
And there are some like meme categories where you use some of the stuff you get after collecting the collectibles. Like when you collect all the collectibles, there's an acrobatic mode. There are like categories for that, but there's also like a category where you try to collect all the collectibles, and they look like this. And this category is actually also really fun, but a bit longer. I try to collect one later on in the game when we have some time for this. Okay, right here I again try to skip big parts of the level by just going around this cave on the wall, and if I like not get it, I get reset to the beginning of the level, which would be pretty bad. So I hope I get this first try as well, but it looks good. This checkpoint I got for safety, and now you can hear Maddie. Yeah, because she's on her back now, and we just skipped this by the trick I tried to explain earlier. And again, the level is like all the way down here, and we just try not to get there because it's really slow. I'm trying to skip another big part of the level, which is like the dark part down here. But since I didn't got a perfect edge boost, I had to land there once. Okay. So, coming up there is the only enemy in the game, which is called the Eye, and we also skip the cutscene where the Eye got introduced. So if the Eye like sees us once from now on, I also have to menu out, because the game is kind of broken now, because it would start the cutscene and I couldn't move from here on. The Eye, if it sees us, it just blows us away, so we have to wait until it's closed or short before this, and then we can go further.
Whoa, dude! I think I figured
Okay.
out what eye that writing was for.
And from here on, like, it's safe again, and the next level will load in a few, so I can reset to the last checkpoint and try to collect a collectible. Try to get a collectible here,
You did it! You're awesome!
because the level is finished anyways. Here's one of the collectibles, and you just collect them by grabbing them, and that's it.
Stand in our way.
Speaking of the eye, GDI donates $10 saying, "I see you."
Okay.
Oh, another one.
This is really funny. This is Starhaven, the most beautiful level, and the level like I messed up the most in my PB actually. And if you play the game the first time on a computer, there is like one of the big airships in front of this cave, and it just goes away before you reach it, and then you have the beautiful view of this level. But since my saves are on this computer now, this is not happening, which is actually really weird. There's a checkpoint we're just not getting, and I hope I will not like get reset to the beginning of the level, because this is what happens if you play not safe and you just don't get any of the checkpoints here. I get this as well, even though it's slower, because I don't want to get reset to the beginning of the level, which happens actually like quite a few times in practice. Okay, and another time I play safe by just getting the checkpoint here.
Along my journey, I had seen pieces of floating rock.
Yeah, so
They were much bigger.
this level has one of the most interesting mechanics,
How was this
because of the fences you can see there, and later on we try to land on this things to reset or grapples, because like I explained, we collected three of the crystals, so we can grapple 3 times before we land, and if we land on one of the fences we have 3 grapples again, which can be pretty useful but also pretty hard, and sometimes the game just turns you around when landing on this thing, so let's hope this is not happening. So here we try to skip a part of the level by just getting some speed out of this, and this is pretty helpful but also pretty risky, so I got like 3 checkpoints you usually wouldn't get because it's slower, but I just thought it would be more safe, and that's like more important on a marathon run.
I bet that you can get through this
here
part
you-
without using the grapple device.
Yeah, like Maddie explained, here is like an in-game
Told you
challenge
you
where
couldn't do it.
you should get to the next checkpoint without grappling, just by jumping, which is actually not that easy. Casual players are always trying it like for half an hour and then they're just going further when I watch their streams. But there's like a speedrun category for this also. It's like a bit of a meme, but when we do races in the community, we often just do Maddie challenge races because it's fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that?
Okay, now this is why we need 31 FPS. We got the rocket boots, you will see what they are doing in a few, and the rocket boots actually are longer, or
Sweet.
they boost you longer on 31 FPS. Like, I think it's due to the engine, but I'm not pretty sure, so it's just that we found out that we have like,
I don't know how
yeah,
to
they are
describe
like
the feeling of
pretty
bursting
useful if you play on 31 FPS,
so
because
fast my eyes watered.
you can
Gallons full
get a
of butterflies.
lot more distance, and this helps us in a
But still,
few spots
feeling
to
the
save.
coolest
Like
kid in the universe.
some pretty big time saves are just like because we play on 31 FPS. Okay, so coming up, there's the biggest cutscene skip in the game. Like, not yet, but in a few minutes, or in a minute maybe. And
I'd love to do stuff like this with
this is pretty
crystals.
important because
Think of the possibilities. Whole machines are powered by
because this
I
cutscene
almost
is like
can't
really,
believe
really long, and the cutscene skip has changed a lot since I started running the game. The last change was due to the 31 FPS rocket boots. Oh, and that was pretty good edge
Great.
boost because I
Icy
just
mountain loomed
fly to an object that was not solid, and I tried to land on the fence here to get like, okay, and that worked out, to get my third grapple back, and this will help us to get some more distance from the next jump, I hope. Okay, that was pretty okay, and now I have like a grapple to
We
just land
hadn't
here,
seen
which is pretty good.
anything around yet, but ahead of us,
Okay, so
what looked like a
what I try to do now is
strays
to
from
fly
Matt's
over
stories.
an
I can
invisible
imagine how
wall,
she must have longed to make them all
because
alive.
if I don't
And now
fly over this, the cutscene will start, and then I have to menu out again. And it should have worked, yeah. And the cutscene, this is like the second village, the Starhaven village, with the people that are like cooler for Maddie. Maddie likes the people here, so yeah, this is a really important cutscene if you want to get the story of the game, because Maddie is really happy here, and at the end of the level she just leaves us. And this is like explained in the cutscene why she's happy there and why she will stay here. So yeah, the cutscene is like really long, and it's pretty good that we can skip it. And before we got like, or we found out that we can get better rocket boots by playing on lower FPS.
for a while, it seemed like she was
We just had to get the checkpoint in front of the cutscene by falling down, and then resetting ourselves and starting the rocket boots right before you land on the ground, so you could skip it anyways, but it was like a bit slower. I'm pretty happy I just got the new trick in practice. I don't know, it wasn't working out pretty well. I got it. Okay, so at the end of this level, at the end of Starhaven, there is like a pretty long cutscene as well. And if we're there, like Maddie explains us that she will leave us. So when we're there, it would be another good time if we have some donations or stuff. But first, I just wanna get this, please. Looks good.
Quickly, grab a hold of that crate.
Okay, the island over there is like where the cutscene is, and you can see the last main level, which is ice caves, like there in the background. This is where we're going from here. Okay, and this is where the cutscene starts. So if we have some donation,
Good day. Here's the
None
whole
right now,
choice.
but chat,
Oh,
you know
I'd
what to
take
do.
the other one if I were you.
yeah.
That one goes back to the outpost.
Wait a minute.
So actually this would be like one of the most helpful or most... This is what interests us as the most in the community to find a way to skip this, but since this cutscene is loading the next level, we're not sure if it is even possible.
Kinda like you.
Yeah,
I want to be
so we just have to listen to all the 2.5 minutes here every time we play this game. Actually, I think the game would be like 10 minutes shorter without cutscenes. Maybe not 10, maybe 8, but like a big difference.
I was looking for when I came with you. Maybe I was just looking for a way out. Somewhere to be free. And I know that if anyone can find Fred, it's you. If you meet him, when you meet him,
I like
tell him to
Maddie pretty much as a character when I played the game casually, but when you just play this speedrun and you have to listen to her like
and
5
it won't be
minutes
the same
every time you
without
play the
Fred.
game, she gets pretty annoying.
Bye, friend.
Okay, so this was the first part of the cutscene, and the second part is when the boat is starting. And then I will try to fool around a
In a
bit.
sad moment, I was happy for her. She had found a place where she belonged.
Okay, so we are not able to jump or to grapple again, but we can clip ourselves through the ship here, and then we can just fall down and get resetted on the last checkpoint.
Creeping up on me.
And then
The path
we can just go through Maddie, which is like,
seemed to lead us into
yeah,
a second
a little bit
ice age.
glitchy when we come near her. She stops her animation, and we can just see ourselves flying into the ice caves. Okay, the last level begins with a really cool skip, because there's a really annoying room over there we will not do in a speedrun, so we just grapple here even though we should not be able to, because there's a really
Balls of ice.
small spot where you can grapple, and this is really helpful because we like skip the biggest or the most annoying part of the game by just grappling there.
Vice's energy
And then we try to avoid another big part of the level by resetting our rocket boots,
for areas where
going into the
ice
wall
was
here,
not so thick.
and then rocket boots ourselves up to another rock. So this is really helpful and makes this level much shorter. And then we just use the rocket boots to get up this mountain, even though the game wants you to go around the mountain and... Oh. Okay. Yeah, so... This worked out, and from here on, like, we get to the next part of the level, which is also really interesting because there's a really important skip. There you would lose the rocket boots on a specific platform coming up, and they would get broken for like a big part of the level, and then we would have to jump all the way through a level again, just with the grappling hook and without the rocket boots. But since we're not doing it, you will see that it gets pretty easy to do this part of the level. I try to show you, this is what we're skipping right now, all this to the right from here. Yeah, and we're just going here where you, like, I think it's obviously that it is not intended to go here. And so we can skip this part, and this part would, like, yeah, that we would lose our rocket boots. If we would land on this platform, the rocket boots would be gone, but we're just not landing there.
I do have another donation.
Yeah, go for it.
Kim in the basement donates $5 saying, "Hey there, never seen this game before, but it looks super cool. Thanks for showing it off." And thank you for the $5.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the part I just tried to describe. We would have tried to jump from one pillar to another, but we can just rocket boots ourselves up to the top, and this is like saving a lot of time. And up here, the rocket boots would get repaired anyways, so it is just this part which is like, oh, this is bad. So now I have to walk through this cave. Normally we would rocket boots ourselves to the end of the cave. So yeah, like here we get the rocket boots repair on this fire pit.
Aftershave he always used.
Yeah, but like, since they weren't broken, makes no difference, but we have to activate it.
He had left some tools.
Okay, and another time I just tried to skip some big parts of the level by going a not intended route. I will show it. But first I try to do a rocket boot cancel here. By rocket boots ourselves to a spot that's like yeah, where we just hit the ground in a specific way, so the rocket boot stops, otherwise we would fly over the block. Okay, we land here, which is actually, oh, that was not good, which is actually possible just on a specific spot there, and then we go here. This is actually just like, I think it's yeah, it's a joke of the developers, and but because it's there, we can just skip big parts of the level. And from here on, we go another time somewhere we shouldn't be, I guess, and skip all the parts to the left here, and going back to the regular part here. Actually, this run is going pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, and from here on we have to be a bit precise, because we have to reset our grapples with this crystal things on the stones, otherwise we're not able to get through it. So I shouldn't miss them. And coming up with the last like grappling part, okay, for the game, it's called, or we call it like the Spider-Man part, because yeah, we are just going a long time without landing. And in the part before this, it was at least possible to land sometimes. Here it's not. Okay, so we are getting close to our uncle, and like the last important trick movement-wise is to activate the next cutscene as in the best possible way, by just doing a rocket boots from here. Otherwise we would like go all the way up here in a really slow speed, but since we use the rocket boots in the right spot, we can activate the cutscene without walking up there. Okay, now there's like the longest cutscene. I think it's like 3 minutes, where the uncle just explains us that he will stay here and that we will go back alone. And I think it's yeah, it's there's like a writing in the building of the uncle where we can find out that he is actually dead, and all the story we tell about how we found our uncle and he grew up some frog people is just like a story we made up to yeah, to not be depressed or to not be too sad because our uncle died. This is like this thing the game is about, I guess. Yeah, but another time. This is a long cutscene, so if there are any donations.
None right now.
Okay.
But it's a long cutscene. Oh no, there just now there went one in. $10 from the real Vincentino, saying, "Here's $2 for every death. Congrats on the great run."
Okay, nice. Yeah, actually it was a good run. Vince is the world record holder of this game, and he's a really cool guy and a really cool moderator, and it's actually really fun to have him in the community. So shoutouts to Vince, and thanks for the donation. This means I didn't die as much as I thought I would when he like promised me to donate for every death. Okay. I think I will be pretty well in the estimate, which is surprising me.
I didn't want to go home, and I asked if I could stay with him.
Isn't the uncle beautiful? Look at his face.
As much as I enjoy having
But actually, I think it's pretty cool for an indie studio that they were brave enough to model humans or human-like things in the game. A lot of indie games try to avoid this, so I will not like be mad at them for doing this.
Don't worry about me or Maddie. We'll be fine.
Okay, and after this level we have to go like through the house of our uncle once more, and in a really slow speed, and then the game is over. So actually there's just one really important skip coming up, really important skip. The rest is free. Okay, we just skip this. Then there's a short dialogue.
The end. Now, good night, sweetie.
Wait, Dad. Does that mean Fred is still there?
Who knows? That was the last time I saw him.
Don't you miss him?
I do, sometimes. But I don't worry about him, because I know that wherever he is, he's on his biggest adventure yet.
Yeah, and you know this
Dear Fred,
this part of the
today
game from the
stepped
beginning,
into the
but now
room
we're
of the
slower,
house for the
and
last
the
time.
house is like
My daughter
more
asked me
empty,
to tell
a little
her
bit
about an
cleaned up,
adventure, and I came to think of you.
and
Your
there is
house
like
looks just like my mother and I left it.
a photo of our uncle.
After you'd gone, I
Okay.
was sure she was going to throw out all your stuff. But she
So
just
thanks
didn't.
to all the community members which are somewhat active, and it's really fun to race with all of them. And if you're interested in the game, like we have a Discord you can find on our speedrun.com page of the game. And here is coming up the last big skip. We're just climbing through the trash,
To get you
and
this tool or that.
that's the last important thing we
When I
do.
told
Now
my
it's
mother
just
about that day,
going up here, and then it's
I
time.
don't think she would have believed me.
Yeah, so thanks to all the community members.
I believe it.
Thanks for the donations, and I hope you enjoyed the run. Yeah, step by if you're interested in the game. That's it. Thank you. Okay. Pretty good time, pretty good time. Okay, that's it.
Thanks.